This evening, first up, 65 bodies recovered, 77 rescued, and 179 people confirmed to have been aboard. Search and recovery efforts along the Essequibo continues, and today the government tries again to raise the sunken MV Barima from the riverbed. Also, candles lit, hymns sung, and hunters gathered at the Kingston Seawall, Guyana, marked its first day of national mourning with an interfaith service that brought the whole country together in grieving. Then counselling, trauma, support, and a national hotline in the works. Minister Persaud says survivors, grieving families, and even first responders will get the psychosocial help they need for as long as it takes. Meanwhile, a 23-year-old pedestrian crossing the road in Linden struck and killed just before midnight, despite the driver's attempt to brake and swerve. Jahiem Mc Bean was well known in his community, and tonight the community is mourning. And 3 sailors who survived an attack in the Strait of Hormuz are suing their ship's owner, claiming warnings from Iran were ignored before the strike. Those stories and more coming up. Stay with us. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for July 23rd, 2026. I'm Baby Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, search, rescue, and recovery efforts continue along the Essequibo River following Saturday night's devastating MV Barima incident, as emergency teams press on with the difficult task of locating those still unaccounted for and recovering the vessel from the riverbed. According to the latest government update, 77 people have been rescued, while 65 bodies have now been recovered from the tragedy. Authorities have confirmed that 179 people, including 18 crew members, were on board the vessel when it departed Georgetown for Port Kaitimo. Investigators were able to verify the passenger count through CCTV footage from the Georgetown port, helping to reconcile the identities of those aboard. The operation is being coordinated by the Search and Rescue Coordination Center, with the Guyana Defense Force Coast Guard leading a multi-agency response supported by the joint services, medical personnel, regional authorities, private vessel operators, fisherfolk, volunteers, community members, civil society organizations, and international partners. Recovery teams have continued to face challenging river conditions as they search for the remaining victims, while grieving families await news of their loved ones. Meanwhile, the government has announced plans to raise the sunken MV Barima. However, the tide did not allow it yesterday. Efforts are being made to get it done today. Officials say specialized equipment and technical expertise will be used to refloat the vessel, a critical step that is expected to support the ongoing investigation into what caused one of Ghana's deadliest maritime disasters. An independent commission of inquiry will also be established after recovery efforts conclude to determine the circumstances surrounding the sinking and make recommendations aimed at preventing similar tragedies in the future while providing answers to families seeking closure. Under a solemn evening sky, hundreds of grieving Guyanese gathered at the Kingston Seawall bandstand in Georgetown on Wednesday, lighting candles and clutching loved ones in a powerful display of national unity, as the country marked the first day of mourning for the victims of the MV Barima tragedy. The National Interfaith Prayer Service brought together families, survivors, government, religious and indigenous leaders, and citizens in a moving show of solidarity. Delivering the feature address, Prime Minister retired Brigadier Mark Phillips called the sinking one of the darkest moments in Guyana's recent history. Extending condolences on behalf of the President, Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali, he said, "We understand fully that there are no words capable of removing the pain you now carry. Therefore, we can only stand beside you, pray with you, and assure you that you will not face the days ahead alone." The Prime Minister reaffirmed the government's commitment to rescue and recovery efforts, commending the Coast Guard, police, medical team, divers, fishermen, volunteers, and private partners, while thanking France, Brazil, and Trinidad and Tobago for their support. He urged citizens to show compassion and let authorities work without the burden of rumors. Reflecting Ghana's religious diversity, Christian, Hindu, and Muslim leaders offered prayers of comfort and healing. Special recognition went to first responders and citizens involved in rescue efforts. The service closed with mourners signing a book of condolences, leaving flowers, and singing the hymn, "Come Back and Save Us." It was the first of 3 planned observances, with further services scheduled for Port Kaituma and Mabaruma. Survivors and families affected by the devastating MV Barima incident will continue to receive psychosocial support and trauma counseling for as long as necessary. This is according to Minister of Human Services and Social Security, Dr. Persaud. Speaking on Go Mosley Radio on Wednesday, Dr. Persaud said her ministry mobilized teams immediately after the tragedy, bringing together officers from the Child Protection Agency, Family Enhancement Services, and Social Services.
From the moment we were informed of what happened, immediately I put together a team from the Human Services end. Now, it's not only Human Services that is offering counseling. The Ministry of Health is also doing that, and there is some support from the Ministry of Education. But from the Ministry of Human Services, we have been able to bring together teams from the Child Protection Agency, the Family Enhancement Services section, and the Social Services area. And this was quite a number of persons who were engaged initially, and that number is growing based on the obvious need.
The Ministries of Health and Education have also joined the effort, with social workers deployed across regions 1 and 2 at hospitals, mortuaries, and emergency command centers, including the Guyana. The minister explained that counseling is being provided to both survivors and grieving families, with special attention given to children who have lost loved ones or experienced a traumatic event. The Guyana Association of Professional Social Workers has also joined the national response. Dr. Persaud revealed that the ministry is also developing plans to provide counseling for first responders, healthcare workers, Transport and Harbor Department staff, and social service officers who have been directly involved in rescue, recovery, and family support efforts. Recognizing the emotional toll the tragedy has had on the white population, the minister said discussions are underway to establish a national counseling hotline, allowing members of the public to access emotional support even if they were not directly affected. She also called on religious organizations to provide comfort and support to grieving communities, while noting that offers of counseling assistance have been received from members of the Guyanese diaspora. Stick around when we return. Pedestrian killed in late-night Linden crash, driver in police custody, and government to continue funeral assistance as compensation awaits COI findings.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road, Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
God loves us and He wants us well. It doesn't matter where you are, and it doesn't matter what case it is.
This is Healing Streams, where anything is possible.
Guyana, God loves you and desires that you experience His healing and restoration. Join Healing Streams live on YouTube or Facebook from Friday, July 24th to Sunday, July 26th. 2026 at 10 hours from the comfort of your home. Release your faith, join in prayer, and receive your healing. For more information, contact Sister Bernice at 695-0943.
You are in the presence of a miracle. You're in the place where grace abounds. This July, it's about to happen with you.
Welcome back. Police are investigating a fatal road accident that claimed the life of a 23-year-old pedestrian on Wednesday night along Amelia's Ward Public Road, Linden. Dead is Jahiem Mc Bean of Central Amelia's Ward. According to police, the accident occurred around 11:20 p.m. when a car allegedly driving at a fast rate struck Mc Bean as he attempted to cross the roadway. Investigators said the driver, a 25-year-old man from South Amelia's Ward housing scheme, reportedly applied the brakes and swerved in an effort to avoid the collision. Still, the vehicle's left front struck the pedestrian. Mc Bean sustained multiple injuries and was rushed to the Linden Hospital complex, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. His body has since been taken to the Linden Senior Citizens Association Funeral Home and mortuary, pending a post-mortem examination. Mc Bean was well known in the Linden community. Police said breathalyzer tests conducted on the driver show he was not over the legal alcohol limit. Nevertheless, he remains in custody as investigations into the fatal accident continue. Moving on, the government will continue to cover funeral and burial expenses and provide immediate support to families affected by the MV Barima tragedy, while any decision on compensation will be made only after an independent commission of inquiry completes its work. Speaking at a press conference on Wednesday, Prime Minister Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips said the government's immediate priority remains supporting grieving families and completing the ongoing rescue and recovery operation. He stressed that the assistance currently being provided should not be viewed as compensation, but as part of the government's responsibility to help citizens during a national tragedy. The Prime Minister also confirmed that an independent commission of inquiry will be established as soon as the rescue and recovery efforts conclude. The commission will investigate the circumstances surrounding the sinking and make recommendations aimed at preventing similar incidents in the future. Prime Minister Phillips explained that any decisions regarding compensation will be guided by the Commission's findings and recommendations, underscoring the government's commitment to ensuring a thorough and transparent investigation before determining the next course of action. For now, the priority is not compensation, but compassion. As the country grieves one of its greatest maritime tragedies, the collective hope is that every family finds strength, every question answered, and every life lost is forever remembered. Don't go off to the break. Afghanistan floods leave dozens dead and missing, and Bahamian man charged with murdering key witness in his own trial.
God loves us, and He wants us well. It doesn't matter where you are, and it doesn't matter what case it is.
This is Healing Streams, where anything is possible.
Guyana, God loves you and desires that you experience His healing and restoration. Join Healing Streams live on YouTube or Facebook from Friday, July 24th to Sunday, July 26th, 2026 at 10 hours from the comfort of your home. Release your faith, join in prayer, and receive your healing. For more information, contact Sister Bernice at 695-0943.
You are in the presence of a miracle. You're in the place where grace abounds. This July, it's about to happen with you.
Problem, Granny?
I want money for far for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world.
Good evening, I'm Dominic Kittins. Tonight, a Bahamian man is charged with killing his own trial witness weeks before he was set to testify. UN funding hangs in the balance on Capitol Hill. Flash floods killed 23 in Afghanistan, and sailors sue after warnings of an Iranian strike on their ship were ignored. We open up in the Caribbean where a 39-year-old Bahamian man has been charged with murdering a key witness in his upcoming armed robbery trial. Adnan Oliver is accused of killing 59-year-old James McPhee on July 12th, weeks before McPhee was scheduled to testify against him. Prosecutor also alleged Oliver breached his bail conditions 81 times. Despite McPhee's death, the armed robbery trial is expected to proceed with his witness statements sought as evidence. The future of funding for critical agencies at the United Nations has dominated a congressional committee hearing in Washington. Al Jazeera's Patty Culhane reports.
Most Republicans made it clear where they stand on the United Nations.
I often have said, from the river to the sea, let's make Manhattan UN free.
But Ambassador Mike Waltz tried to convince them the U.S. needs to stay involved.
We have to get in there and fight and win. We have an example of that when the International Maritime Organization was within a week of putting a global carbon tax, $1 billion a month on global shipping. It was absurd. They thought it was a done deal. We got in there and fought and won to the point where our representative on the ground said the EU ambassador just called us diplomatic gangsters.
For their part, Democrats repeatedly challenged Waltz on U.S. funding cuts to the UN.
Since January 2025, the Trump administration has withdrawn the U.S. from 69 different entities and UN agencies, including the very UN body responsible for protecting children from sexual violence in war. It has pulled the United States out of UNESCO, withdrawn from the Human Rights Council, and abandoned the World Health Organization, even during an active Ebola outbreak.
The Trump administration has cut other funding to programs. The UN Population Fund, which provides help for reproductive health. UNRWA, providing aid to Palestinians. The UN agency that fights HIV and AIDS. It has reduced funding for food and budget programs and money for peacekeeping and the UN budget. It's reportedly now considering cutting funding for the UN Refugee Agency as well.
Why did the U.S. withdraw from the UN on key offices? The offices for children in armed conflict, the Office of Sexual Violence in Conflict, the Office of Violence Against Children. Why would the U.S. ever withdraw, given what I just laid out, given what Russia's doing, but given what's happening all over the world? Why would they ever withdraw for that?
Congressman, I would not conflate our evaluation of the effectiveness of a particular office of an organization versus caring about the issue.
Technically, the Congress decides how much money the U.S. is going to give to the UN. But Democrats say even though they've approved funding, the president simply isn't spending it. And so far, they haven't found a way to make him. Patty Culhane, Al Jazeera on Capitol Hill.
Flash floods have killed at least 23 people in Afghanistan mountainous Norista province, with more than 100 others still missing. Al Jazeera's Laura Khan reports.
The drive into Nuristan in northeastern Afghanistan is perilous. The mountain roads lead to the regional capital Parun, which is now lined with excavators digging for the missing. Rescue teams are still searching for those swept away by the floods. Here, the bodies of 2 young sisters are carefully pulled from the mud. Around them, rescue teams and locals are searching through the debris for anything they can salvage. Others look out over what was once their community. Parun suffered the worst of the destruction after torrential rain on Monday sent rivers bursting, smashing through homes businesses and public buildings.
At first, we were here in the market when we heard a loud noise. When I arrived at the site of the disaster, the situation was absolutely terrifying.
The floodwaters unleashing devastating mudslides carrying huge boulders, vehicles and buildings down the steep mountainsides.
Sadly, these poor people lost their lives. It was an extremely painful and tragic scene.
Climate scientists say Afghanistan is among the countries most vulnerable to climate change. More intense rainfall combined with years of deforestation has left mountainous regions like Nuristan increasingly exposed to deadly floods and landslides.
The damage here has been extensive. Markets, shops, municipal buildings, and bridges have all been destroyed.
And as the search for the missing continues beneath the mud, many here fear the final death toll has yet to emerge. Laura Khan, Al Jazeera.
Three sailors who survived an attack on a Thai cargo ship in the Strait of Hormuz are suing the vessel's owners, claiming warnings from Iran were ignored before the strike. Al Jazeera's Tony Cheng reports.
It was an attack that killed 3 sailors and has now launched a lawsuit. The men who filmed this footage blame the ship's owners for putting them in harm's way. The Thai-registered cargo vessel travelling through the Strait of Hormuz on March the 11th. Sailors gather on deck as smoke billows out of the engine room. 2 projectiles fired by Iran hit the boat. As fire spreads below decks, the order is given to abandon ship.
The moment I heard the explosions, I thought that had to be it. I knew something serious had happened. An ordinary explosion wouldn't have been that loud. It was so loud that it completely shocked me.
Now Paneti is suing the ship's owners for ignoring the warnings of the IRGC. He says he can't face going back to sea and was forced to leave his job with back pay of just over $5,000. Since attacks resumed between the US and Iran earlier this month, traffic through the Strait of Hormuz has slowed to a crawl. And as oil prices climb, other concerns have drifted away.
The crisis in the Straits of Hormuz has focused a lot on the shortage of resources, things like fertilizer and fuel, but very little attention has been paid to the conditions facing tens of thousands of seafarers, many of whom have been stranded for more than 6 months.
That's a problem in Southeast Asia, where sailors from the Philippines, Indonesia, Myanmar and Thailand have become the backbone of many shipping fleets.
Most of the seafarers cannot or do not want to complain because of the danger they might lose the job.
The waters of the strait may look calm, but for the sailors who navigate them, there are rough seas ahead. Tony Cheng, Al Jazeera, Bangkok.
Thanks, Dominique. This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-event forecast. And that's it to the 2 headline news for this Thursday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for a rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other.